Lil Durk Only the Family crew has yet again suffered another loss as one of their very own, ARoy, was shot and killed on his own block. Ever since rapper King Von was killed in 2020, the OTF crew and O Block have rocked rap news worldwide. Now, with the death of one of O Block's deadliest shooters, the crew has yet again made headlines. Keep watching to see the story of OTF ARoy, Lil Durk's deadliest shooter. Who is OTF ARoy? Chicago's Only the Family crew took another massive hit after one of their very own, ARoy, whose real name is Avion D. Givens, was shot and killed at the Parkway Garden low-income development at the 6400 block of South Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Chicago, Illinois. A Chicago police report says the incident happened at the 6400 block of South King Drive at around 1:50 p.m. and the victim was said to be 26 years old. It also mentioned that the victim was immediately taken to the University of Chicago Hospital in a very critical state. A friend said about ARoy was so humble and funny and the best friend to us. He was also the most outstanding father. His babies will miss him greatly. It's really tough. The friend said he was a father to a young son and daughter. Murder video. The sad incident of ARoy's death was captured on camera as nobody expected it to escalate to the extent that it did. ARoy and another man got involved in a fight with two teenagers, Munamond and Lil Mike. And according to reports, the fight started because the teenagers had tried to swindle ARoy. While the fight was going on, a woman who lived on the block went on Facebook Live. The video seemed to be captured from inside the building just above the parking lot. ARoy was seen pummeling the man and shouting, "I'm a grown man. I'll you up," while throwing some punches at him. The teenager laid on the ground without making a fuss as ARoy was over him screaming. In a short while, ARoy stepped back to walk away, indicating that the fight had ended and he had in fact won. But before he could make it far away from his killer, he stood up from the ground and pulled out a gun from his jacket. A bare-chested ARoy had no defense nor cover as the killer plunged no less than half a dozen bullets into ARoy at close range. OTF ARoy's murder is the last in a long string of shooting-related deaths. Young Dolph was killed in Memphis on November 17th as he was picking up cookies from his favorite local bakery. His murder has yet to be solved. Who killed ARoy? The street was able to identify the boy involved in the shooting of ARoy. Insider reports claim that he was Munamond, a 17-year-old teenager who was from the same set as ARoy. Now you see, many fans didn't know whether the boy who pulled the trigger was an op or a member of O Block. The shooter was in fact a member of O Block, and the fight happened right in front of O Block. No op can make it that far into O Block in broad daylight without getting shot. What many fans couldn't understand was why ARoy was beating the out of the shooter like he was an op. The law of the street state that you're not supposed to kick your homie when he's down, and that was exactly what ARoy did. One fan said, "It's hood law. You don't stomp your homie in a fight and let him get back up, then whoop them again. And this is the reason why." Then it leads to MFs taking sides. Other fans really just wanted to know what may have caused the fight between members of the same set. The two allegedly got involved in the fight over money, and ARoy got the best of him. The killer didn't like that very much, and when ARoy turned his back, he shot him and ran off. Investigations. In the early weeks of the shootings, the authorities carried out minor investigations on the incident. However, they could not catch the killer. According to insider reports, the case has gone cold despite the fact that there was clear evidence of the shootings as well as multiple witnesses. The authorities do not treat the case as a priority case, as they are very much aware of the gang and gun violence present in Chicago. Insider reports also claim that ARoy's family have pushed the authorities to give justice to them soon and bring his killer to book, but because the authorities are aware that he was a gang member, they are taking little or no action on the investigation. Fans and families of the deceased have cried for help, claiming that had it been a different person of society who was killed in that manner, with visible and credible evidence of the murder circulating the internet, the authorities would have swung to action immediately. They are, however, hopeful that one day the killer would be found and justice would be served. Controversies surrounding ARoy death. Fans who are fascinated by the O Block gang history have begun to make some speculation surrounding the death of ARoy on O Block. According to the fans, they believe that the teenagers, Munamond and Lil Mike, were sent by whoever to carry out the shots on ARoy. The fans believe that is what happened, as from the footage of the incident that was shared, neither Munamond nor Lil Mike was seen fighting back their opponents. They both lay back on the ground while ARoy and his goons whooped the out of them. As also seen in the video, while ARoy was beating up Munamond, he laid on the ground with his chest and had his back up. This was because his gun was strapped right at the front of his jacket, and if he had turned, ARoy would have seen the gun and probably taken it from him. Fans believe that his decision to kill ARoy was premeditated, and at the time ARoy let him go, he didn't hesitate to put the bullets in him. What fans can't tell right now is whether it was a personal decision or whether someone who was a rival to ARoy ordered him to take the shot. Some fans have also indicated that there might be some spiritual or demonic force at play with regards to the death of ARoy. They arrived at this theory based on the circumstances of King Von and T-Roy's death. You see, King Von, T-Roy, and ARoy were best of friends before they all died. They all had the Roy in their names, with King Von being V-Roy. The similarities in their deaths were striking, and fans just couldn't turn a blind eye to it. King Von died barely 13 months before ARoy was killed. And just like ARoy, King Von also got into a fight at a nightclub where he got the best of his opponent. And just like ARoy's opponent, King Von's killer couldn't handle losing a fight, so he pulled out a gun and shot him. The exact same thing happened with ARoy, and to top it off, they were all captured on camera. Fans can't seem to wrap their hands around the controversy, but they believe it's out of the ordinary. OTF Goons reaction. According to insider reports, at the time ARoy was shot and killed, many of his O-Block and OTF gang members weren't around. So the ops seized the opportunity to attack O-Block's deadliest shooter, and they succeeded. After the O-Block gang heard about the death of ARoy, many of them took to their Instagram accounts to share their grief over the loss of their brother. One member wrote, "We was just talking about how Rondo us up, then this gotta be a curse, for real. At ARoy, V-Roy, 5L my." Another wrote, "Just broke me down, brother." While one post read, "Weak as get you some rest, blood." Many of the O-Block members shred photos of ARoy while reminiscing on their lives together as a gang. Lil Durk also reacted to ARoy's death via his Instagram live. He expressed his sadness over how his deadliest shooter went down. He also added that ARoy did not act as he expected him to, as he had the winning chance in that fight, and it only took his op to pull out a gun. Many O-Block goons also believe that ARoy could have made it if he pulled out his gun first. The gang didn't only react on Instagram, they also reacted physically by attacking the lady who streamed the entire video on Facebook Live. According to reports, the woman who caught the murder of O-Block/OTF member ARoy on Facebook Live was allegedly assaulted after leaving her apartment on the evening of the next day. A short 4-second clip was uploaded capturing the woman being assaulted hours after the video of the murder was shared. In the short 4-second clip that was shared, the woman was seen getting kicked and punched by several people while on the ground. Top shooters on O-Block. Chicago is known to have some notorious shooters in their individual gangs, and for O-Block, there are so many names you could call. Duke, E-Dog, King Von, Trey 5, HK. And his hits were undoubtedly the biggest O-Block ever did. Tightly followed by Duke, who got 2 killers. Duke is probably the most wanted in Taekwon world and STL. Other names include Gleesh, Muwop, and C-Murder. T-Roy, J-Money, and Big A were their biggest guys back in the early 10s. Heck, or HK, which stands for Headshot King, was a known shooter/killer for the Black Disciple set, O-Block. He was the younger brother of fellow O-Block members T-Roy and Slutty from the same set. HK started to be a shooter after T-Roy's death. Hakeem killed the person who gave out T-Roy's location. T-Roy's killer best friend and T-Roy's killer himself. HK was, however, shot and killed himself. He wasn't killed by Wooski, as some streets claim, but by some Black Disciples that he was trying to rob. HK killed at least 6 people and left 9 people with gunshot wounds. Duke is a Black Disciple from the set O-Block and one of the deadliest shooters on the block. He is the brother of Booby and the cousin of Platoon. Duke's body count is 6, and he's clapped on more than 10 people. King Von, aka Hitman, was a Black Disciple and famous rapper from O-Block who was the son of Silk Ada Park and was the older brother of J. Louis V. He was originally from Killer Ward. He beat 2 murder cases and spent 3 years and 6 months in jail, attempted murder, before starting a very short yet successful rap career. Von was shot and killed on November 6, 2020. Before his death, King Von had 9 bodies to his name and left 28 people with gunshot wounds. King Von was the V-Roy to ARoy, as the two were best of friends. Just like ARoy was shot during a fight, King Von was also killed during a fight at a club in Atlanta. T-Roy was a Black Disciple from O-Block, and he was also known as being one of King Von's best friends, until he later died after being shot by rival gang member TB from Taekwon World in the chest on February 14, 2017. He was reportedly out looking for TB, which was when he was spotted by FBG Brick, who then alerted TB that T-Roy was out looking for him. T-Roy had at least 10 bodies to his name and he shot at over 30 people. Now, a list of O Block's deadliest shooters will not be complete if Trey 5 didn't make the list. Trey 5 is a black disciple from the set of O Block. He recently got out of prison. He is the older brother of both Bruh and King Von. Trey 5 is famous for many things. For one, he was the one that started the beef between O Block and the 63rd or STL/EBT. He knocked FBG Brick and Kobe Mack off the face of the earth. He has at least 6 bodies under his belt, and he has shot over 17 people. O Block Fallen Soldiers. The 6400 block was named O Block after a fallen soldier, Odie Perry, was killed by rival gang members. It all started after Wooski, a guy from 63rd, killed Reezy, an O Block member. The Gangsta Disciples and Black Disciples started to fight each other as the Black Disciples wanted Wooski dead. When they couldn't get Wooski killed, they started killing other Gangsta Disciple members. Trey 5, an O Block and Black Disciple member, shot and killed one Marcus, a member of the Gangsta Disciples. Since then, a lot of murders and retaliations happened between the blocks. It was during these retaliations that Odie Perry was killed. On January 12, 2011, a member of the Gangsta Disciples, Tuka, was killed, and the Gangsta Disciples believed that it was done by Odie Perry. They had their revenge on Tuka's birthday on August 11, 2011, when the Gangsta Disciples' best shooter, Gakira Barnes, aka K.I., shot Odie 3 times. Gakira took Tuka's best friend. Gakira was also shot and killed by the Black Disciples on her way to a party 3 years later. She was apparently killed by King Von, one of the most popular people out of O Block, and just like his music, his death went worldwide. King Von was involved in a violent fight that broke out at a nightclub in Atlanta. Unfortunately, he didn't make it out of the fight alive. As seen in footage of the incident, King Von was throwing punches at one of the guys when suddenly shots were fired and he was sent to the ground. Sadly, he couldn't be treated and he died as a result of the gunshot injuries. King Von was well loved and respected in Chicago, especially on O Block. They paid tribute to him and showed him love by designing a mural of him in his very own hood.